The alarm pierced through the Galactic Academy's corridors at 600 hours, sending every species into immediate lockdown protocols. 3 crawl predator cubs, apex hunters from a death world twice as hostile as Earth, had escaped their containment during a diplomatic exchange program. Security Chief Torvin, a 4-armed Matherian with centuries of experience, coordinated the search with military precision. His mandibles clicked anxiously as thermal scanners swept every chamber, every ventilation shaft, every possible hiding spot where 3 juvenile predators might conceal themselves. They're juveniles, but their instincts are fully developed, Torvin warned over the campus-wide channel. Approach with extreme caution. Tranquilizer protocols authorized. The Crawl were legendary. Even their young could tear through reinforced steel with claws designed by evolution to hunt creatures that would give most sentient species nightmares. Their homeworld's ecosystem was so brutal that the Galactic Council had debated for decades whether first contact was even advisable. The Cubs' presence at the Academy was meant to be a historic gesture of peace. Now, that gesture threatened to become a catastrophe. 3 hours into the search, every zone had been cleared except the research wing. Torvin's security team moved in formation, weapons ready, sensors active. The wing housed several species workspaces, including the human section, a recent addition to the campus that many still viewed with curiosity. Humans. The strange bipeds from Earth who'd only joined the galactic community 15 cycles ago. Too fragile for heavy labor, too slow for courier work, too chemically reactive for food service. Yet somehow they kept finding niches where others never thought to look. Torvin's second-in-command, a cautious Vryn named Kellis, pulled up the human quarters surveillance feed. "Sir, we have movement in Research Lab 7. It's Dr. Lena's office." The team converged on the location, weapons raised. Torvin could feel his primary hearts hammering. 3 crawl cubs cornered in a confined space with a human, one of the weakest species in the Academy. This could turn into a bloodbath. They breached the door, then stopped completely. The office was small, cluttered with earth plants that thrived in the artificial atmosphere and papers covered in human script. Behind a modest desk sat Dr. Lena, a xenobiologist who'd been studying cross-species behavioral patterns. Her dark hair was pulled back, her expression calm as she made notes on a data pad, and arranged in a perfect semicircle beside her desk, sitting with impossible stillness, were the 3 crawl cubs. Varric, the eldest, sat closest to Lena's chair. His silver-striped fur was groomed, his massive paws tucked underneath his haunches, his predatory eyes fixed on the human with unwavering attention. The 2 younger cubs mirrored his posture, alert, patient, almost reverent. "Dr. Lena," Torvin said carefully, his translator struggling to keep his voice steady. "Are you injured?" Lena looked up from her datapad, seeming genuinely surprised by the armed security team filling her doorway. "Injured? No, why would I be?" She glanced at the cubs. "Oh, you were looking for these 3? They've been missing for 3 hours. The entire campus has been in lockdown." "Have they?" Lena set down her datapad and reached over to scratch behind Varric's ear. The massive cub, who could have taken her arm off with a casual bite, leaned into the touch with a rumbling purr that vibrated through the floor. "They came to my office around dawn. I thought they were scheduled for our morning session." Kellis lowered his weapon slightly. "Morning session?" "The behavioral study," Lena explained patiently. "I've been working with the crawl cubs for 2 weeks now. We have daily observations scheduled. They usually arrive early." She smiled at Varric. "This one especially. He's remarkably punctual." Torvin felt his certainty crumbling. "Doctor, these are apex predators. Juveniles, yes, but still capable of—" "I'm aware of what they're capable of," Lena interrupted gently. She stood, and all 3 cubs immediately stood with her, maintaining their positions beside her desk. "That's why I've been studying them. The crawl aren't mindless killers. They're highly social pack hunters with complex emotional intelligence. They respond to calm authority and consistent routine." She walked to a cabinet and retrieved 3 containers. The cubs' ears perked up, but they didn't move from their spots. "Varric here was the first to understand our protocols. He taught the younger 2. Now watch." Lena raised one hand. The cubs sat. She made a different gesture, and they each moved to designated spots marked on the floor. Another signal, and they returned to her side. They're waiting for permission, she explained. In crawl pack dynamics, the alpha eats first, then the cubs. They won't take food until I signal that it's acceptable. It's not fear, it's respect. Torvin watched as Lena opened the containers and placed them before each cub. Only when she nodded did they begin to eat, carefully, without aggression, occasionally glancing up at her as if seeking approval. How? Kellis breathed. Every species in the academy has been terrified of them. The Matherian trainers couldn't establish any control. How did a human? Because I didn't try to control them, Lena said simply. I observed. I learned their language, body posture, ear position, tail signals. I respected their nature instead of fearing it. And I was consistent. Same time, same place, same expectations every single day. Varric finished his meal and returned to Lena's side, pressing his massive head against her hip. She absently scratched his neck while addressing the security team. The crawl aren't the problem, she continued. Our fear is. We see predators and assume violence. But these cubs have been confused and stressed because everyone treats them like weapons instead of children learning to navigate a strange world. Torvin slowly holstered his weapon. In all his centuries of security work, he'd never witnessed anything like this. A human, barely capable of surviving on most civilized worlds, had accomplished what trained specialists across multiple species could not. The containment alarm? He asked weakly. Lena looked slightly embarrassed. That might be my fault. I left my office door open last night. They probably let themselves out and came here. Sorry about the panic. As security began to stand down, Torvin watched the 3 cubs settle beside Lena's desk while she returned to her work. They arranged themselves like guardian statues, patient and vigilant, their earlier wildness transformed into devoted stillness. Later, when filing his report, Torvin would write, humans lack natural armor, weapons, or overwhelming strength. But they possess something perhaps more valuable, the ability to see beyond instinct, to find common ground with the unlikeliest species, and to establish trust where others see only danger. Today, a human sat calmly at her desk while the galaxy's most feared predators waited beside her. Not as threats, but as students. Perhaps we've underestimated Earth's children. Perhaps patience is a more powerful weapon than any we carry. In her small office, surrounded by plants and papers, Lena continued her research while 3 crawl cubs dozed peacefully at her feet, finally understanding that they'd found something their predatory instincts had always craved. A place where they belonged, and someone who understood them. Varric's tail twitched once, contentedly, and the campus returned to normal, forever changed by the quiet strength of a human who refused to be afraid.